Are you Miss Elisabetta Gardelli? He asked. She nodded. Every time she heard her full name, she was glad she'd reclaimed her maiden name after the divorce. Olivia was still a Banks, but Elisabetta no longer desired to be one. Special delivery for you. He gestured to the rolling cart Lissa hadn't noticed before. She shook her head. I'm sorry, but I didn't order anything. The man looked at the paper in his hand. From Saks Fifth Avenue for you, may I? He inclined his head, indicating he wanted to come into the room. Sure. Confused, Lissa let him enter and lay out garment bags on the bed, along with shoe boxes and shopping bags. He'd started to push the cart back out of the room when her brain kicked back into gear. Wait, please. She went to her wallet and pulled out some bills to tip him with. Here, thank you. No, ma'am, it's all taken care of, but thank you. I don't understand, she said, her legs beginning to shake as she realized only one person knew she needed clothing. Mr. Trevor Dane is downstairs. He asked me to get your permission to share your room number with him. Mutely, Lissa nodded. Send him up, she murmured, lowering herself onto a corner of the bed, knowing her legs wouldn't hold up much longer. Nothing about this interview and reunion with Trevor was going as she'd envisioned. She'd known being with him again would be challenging, but she'd hoped it would be cathartic. She'd never quite gotten him out of her system, and after seeing him today, she was coming to the conclusion she never would. She thought she'd be resigning herself to that throughout this long, torturous weekend. But now she was facing this thoughtful, caring gesture from a man who ought to hate her. He should be doing everything he could to make her time with him as painless for himself as possible, by spending as little time with her as he needed in order to get the article written. And yet he was sending her expensive clothing from Saks and showing up at her hotel room in the middle of his workday to... what? She had no idea, and that scared her.
As Trevor rode the elevator to the 36th floor, he figured he'd lost his mind. He had no other explanation for doing something so out of character as leaving work in the middle of the day. No doubt about it, though, his phone call with his mother had shaken him badly. For years, he'd assumed that once Lissa had gotten pregnant and Brad had done the right thing by marrying her, she'd lived a charmed life as Bradley Banks's wife. The money, the country club, all the things that, at the time, Trevor could never be sure he'd be able to provide. And once she'd had Brad's baby and married him, whether or not Trevor succeeded in life no longer mattered. He'd had a decade to build a picture in his mind of how good her life had been without him. Regardless of his professional success, Trevor still felt hollow inside. It had taken no time to have his illusions, or rather delusions, shattered. According to his mother, Lissa's married life had been a decade-long embarrassment. When Lissa finally had enough and walked out, her settlement had been paltry, and she'd been forced to take a part-time job serving coffee at Cuppa Cafe while writing the obituary column for the Serendipity Gazette. She'd lived in a small house on her original side of town, and though their daughter's future was secure thanks to Brad's parents, Lissa worked for everything she had. No wonder she'd nearly passed out when he'd mentioned a formal affair and a dinner party this weekend. Not only couldn't she afford those kinds of clothes, but she probably didn't even own them. Trevor had misjudged her, the life she'd lived, and who she'd become. He should have known better. If he could have gotten past his hurt and anger sooner and let his mother fill him in, he'd have known how unhappy her life had to be. Would it have changed anything? Would he have gone back for her, married or not? He'd never know.